Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to SMA Talks, the podcast. My name is Ayodeji Saraki, and today we have a very important guest. We are so fortunate to be here at the headquarters of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and we'll be speaking to Mr. Femi Babafemi. He's the current director of the Media and Advocacy Department at the agency. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Deji. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's we have to put it out there. We're so honored and privileged that you took out time despite your busy schedule to have this podcast with us. So we sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. So this year's theme for the International Day for Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. This year's theme is People first, stop stigma and discrimination.
Strengthen prevention.
Exactly. So wanted to know, what did the agency do and how are you using the agency, through the agency, how are you helping people that are victims of drug abuse and also preventing drug abuse?
Now, I'll tell you, this is a very awesome conversation, and I'll tell you that the NDLEA has come of age, and the NDLEA has really been very, very proactive in all the areas of our responsibilities, talking of drug supply reduction or drug demand reduction. Now, I'll break all of this down for you. When you talk of drug supply reduction, that is the area of law enforcement in the operations or the activities of the agency. That is the area where we arrest offenders. That's the area that deals with arrest of offenders, seizure of the drug exhibits, prosecution of offenders, and even seizure of their assets. Now, in that area, I'll tell you that the agency has done tremendously well, especially in the last 29 months. Don't forget that the current chairman, chief executive of the agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Maro, actually came on board on January 18, 2021, and with his coming, there has been a paradigm shift in the operations and the activities of the agency. And so with his coming, between the time he came and the moment we're talking with you now, the agency has tried all it could to ensure that we cut access to and the availability of these illicit substances, because indeed this is a scourge, and this is something that if we don't do something about, it's capable of destroying the people we call the future of the country. And so in that regard, I'll tell you that in the last 29 months, we have indeed made over 31,675 arrests.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And beyond that, again, from these offenders, we have made a seizure of 6,252,000 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs, which translates to 6,252 tons. Yeah. That's quite huge. Also, just imagine what a fraction of that would do to the lives of our people in our communities on the streets of Nigeria. Yeah. So that has also impacted on the access and the availability of these illicit substances. Now, and then again, I must also say, to further strengthen the deterrence of effect of what we do, quite a number of these people have also been prosecuted, and I'll tell you that in the last 29 months, 5,147 of them had been successfully prosecuted and are serving different jail terms at the moment, with over 11,000 others still facing trial in the law courts. Yes. Now, leaving that, coming to the area that actually deals with what you just said, what you just referred to in your question, that is the theme for this year's International Day Against Substance Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. Yeah. People first, stop stigma and discrimination, strengthen prevention. Now, what we have done, that is the area that falls under our drug demand reduction pillar. Okay. The framework, framework. And that area, I can tell you again that that is also further broken down to different phases. 1, prevention. 2, treatment and care. And then 3 reintegration for people that are already using. Now, in the area of prevention, because that is very key.
Exactly. I wanted to take you up on that because I know that in 2021, you started the War Against Drug Abuse,
Absolutely.
the campaign.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's,
Unfortunately, I studied in Nigeria. I attended my university here, and I know that on campus, a lot of people were abusing drugs.
Yes.
I know that I had friends and colleagues, you know, in class that, you know, instead of paying their school fees, use their school fees to buy drugs and all. So how are you taking that prevention into the universities? Because now, with social media, you can see even from secondary schools, you know, they are all drug addicts. Many people, not everyone, but many young persons, when they get hands on cash, they buy tramadol, they buy cough syrup, codeine, they buy all sorts of things. So how are you taking that prevention into the schools and among the youths?
Now, I'll tell you that now in the area of prevention, because that can only be driven through advocacy and sensitization. And in that regard, I can tell you that in the last 29 months, like you rightly said, precisely on June 26, 2021, the War Against Drug Abuse, that is WADA Advocacy Initiative, was actually launched at the presidential villa by the then President Muhammadu Buhari. What that was meant to achieve was to mobilize everybody, every citizen, to buy in and take ownership of the war, of the fight against substance abuse, because more often than not, you see people shifting responsibility, saying it's NDLEA's work, it's the government's work, forgetting that they are the direct or even indirect victims of this if they don't do something. Just like you saying you have a fire in your house and you are saying you're calling fire service, come and put out the fire. You are not doing anything. You are not even calling. You just say, is government not seeing the fire in my house? Why can't you come and do something about it when you come and put it out?
So it's our responsibility. Everyone. Yes.
So that campaign initiative was to mobilize everybody to see this as a danger to all of us, and we must all take collective responsibility to respond, to tackle it. And so that we've been doing all of that, pushing the advocacy, whether through different platforms, taking it to the families, because family is actually the foundation of this problem.
First point of contact.
Yeah, exactly. And if we also have to solve the problem, we also have to address it from the family root, from the basis. Then from the family to the schools, to the communities, to the worship centers, to the traditional institutions, down to the globe, I mean the larger society. So we all have to address this at those levels. And to address this at those levels, we've engaged with religious leaders, whether at the level of the mosque or the churches, so that they can make this a frequent message, because we're religious people and we respect our religious leaders. Whatever they say rings bell. We tend to heed to their advice. So now we have to engage with those people so that they can make this a constant message in their sermons, whether on Fridays at the mosque or on Sundays in the churches. Then again to the schools. Down to your question now, we've also engaged civil society partners and non-governmental organizations, because it's not what the agency can do alone, but every week you see us producing short videos, 3 to 5 minutes video, which we call NDLEA Weekly Review. This captures all the activities of our commands and officers across the country, their visits to schools, primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, to sensitize them, to work with them. And beyond that, again, we've also moved further by setting up WADA clubs, which we used to call drug-free clubs in university and tertiary institutions.
That's quite impressive.
Drug-free clubs in those schools, so that we can engage with the students and the authorities of those campuses directly and get them to also be a part of this process. Beyond that, again, we'd also introduce and been pushing for drug tests for students at all levels, whether as freshers you are going to the campuses. This must be a prerequisite for you to undergo drug test, or you are a returning student, drug test. So the whole essence of this is to deter them. It's not punitive at all in any form. It's to deter them, because when they know that they are likely to be tested, they tend to be more careful, they tend to abstain, And that way, if they have that in their mind that they are likely to be tested, and what we also, and quite a lot of schools, especially tertiary institutions, have bought into this. They're already doing this. We're working in partnership with a number of them. We're also driving the drug-free campus campaign initiative, which we actually launched at the University of Abuja last year, here in Abuja. We launched that, and this is part of the processes to mobilize the campus, the university communities to take ownership of this fight. We are saying, we're emphasizing that for those students that may test positive, we do not encourage any university authority to rusticate such students. Instead, they should provide them help, treatment. But then that will come at a cost to the students, to the supposed drug abuser. The cost will be that because in the course of undergoing treatment, you are likely to miss classes, because you can't be undergoing treatment and be in class. Yes. So what it means is you're likely to miss a semester, 2 semesters, which means a whole session.
Yes.
And that you understand that. So you always remember that when you are likely, if you are caught and you are taken for treatment, you are likely to miss a whole year, meaning you will not graduate with your colleagues, with your classmates.
So sir, that brings us to rehabs.
Yes.
So I know someone who actually went to a rehab in, I think, Kaduna, for drugs. Because he was an abuser of drugs. So the thing is, we hear about rehabs, but they are like local rehabs. They are not, sophisticated standard buildings. And that stigma, that shame, they can't tell their friends, or they can't tell people that they are going to the rehab, or they attended the rehab. So how would, because of this year's theme, stop stigma, we have to reduce the stigma on people so they can feel confident to, talk about their struggles. Because what I realized over time is, I think the secrecy, makes them bond. Yeah. So all the people who abuse drugs, because you shame them and, you now make them start keeping secrets. Before you know, they have a group of friends, and you just notice that I've not heard from this so-called friend in over 3 months. Yeah. And the next time you see him, you can just look at the face. You can, from the view, from the appearance of the person, you can know that this person is battling some demons with drugs. So how do you? How does the government, how does the agency come, help with that in terms of rehabilitation and helping people that have abused drugs?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my response will be in 2 layers. The first will go back to the family. Yeah. The family, like I said, that actually is the foundation for some of these issues, because a lot of parents are no longer parenting. They have abdicated their responsibility to teachers, to maids, and to the society. And so they lose it at that point. And these students, or these children at that point, get comfortable with their peers outside who are ready to provide these substances for them free of charge, who are ready to share their secrets, who are ready to give them a shoulder to rest on. Whereas in the homes, a lot of parents don't even have time to engage with their kids anymore. So these kids, even when they have things to tell them, when these kids come under pressure from their friends out there about, on substance abuse, there is nobody to share with, because when they tell their parents, Mom or Dad, can I have a talk with you? Oh, I'm busy now, Junior. I need to go to work quickly. By the time they are done, they are back. The kids are sleeping, so they don't know. Ultimately, these kids succumb to the pressure from their peers. So that's why we're engaging with the family, with the families, at the basic level, through religious organizations, through advocacy in workplaces, as well as through the communities. Because when we engage with the traditional rulers, we encourage them to gather their members of their community, to engage with them, to speak with them about this, and to also invite NDLEA. Now, coming to what we do to protect these people, because we know indeed, like you rightly said, that some of these people that are struggling with this demon, when they want to seek help, the fear of stigmatization prevents a lot of them from seeking help. And what the agency has done in direct response to that was so that nobody can have an excuse not to seek help again. What we did was to provide a drug abuse call center that is private,
Okay.
Yeah, we have a drug abuse call center with
Okay.
a
We
toll
would like
free.
to get
With a toll-free helpline.
Okay.
The toll-free helpline is 0800 1020 3040. I repeat again, 0800 10 20 30 40. Now, at that drug abuse call center, we have counselors, we have psychologists, we have psychotherapists, we have mental health experts, we have psychiatric doctors. All of them work 24/7. They are there every hour, every moment of the day, and they run shifts. Now, what this does is anybody can sit in the comfort of their homes, whether as the individual struggling with this demo or their family members, make a call to that line. Now, your identity is protected. That is one, the person who is speaking with you does not know you, you don't know, and he may not, or he or she may never even know you or ever meet you. That gives you some level of protection, confidentiality.
Yes,
then two, another thing is this: when they speak with you, again, language is not a barrier, because for some people, that especially from the local communities that may not be able to speak English, if it's Pidgin you can speak, they can attend to you in Pidgin. If you cannot speak either of the two, again, they can attend to you in the three major languages, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. They can attend to you in any of those languages. So that really removes a lot of barriers that discourage people. That way, you can sit in the comfort of your home and get teletherapy. Because some of the majority of those abusing these illicit substances, all they need is counseling.
Yeah, true.
Counseling. So they don't really, until they get dependent, when it actually becomes an addiction, that is when there'll probably be need to take them to, and at that drug abuse call center, the moment they speak with you, they engage you like a proper doctor-patient engagement. Interview you.
So sir, sorry to cut you. So this brings us to collaborative measures with other government agencies and maybe parastatals. So for example, like the NAFDAC, which is the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration. And we want to know, and other pharmaceuticals, maybe private, because we know that pharmaceuticals are there to sell drugs. So they keep storing this thing, and some people, they just bring in shipments from all over the place. It could be fake tramadols and all of those things. So how is the agency now taking the bull by the horn by collaborating with other government agencies like NAFDAC to ensure that these drugs, some of these drugs that are not good for people stored in these pharmacies, and also to clamp down on them?
I'll tell you categorically that indeed, like I said before, this is not a fight that the NDLEA or even the entire government alone can win. So we need collaboration, and we have been very open to collaboration and been working. Fortunately, you are mentioning that's NAFDAC, one of our strongest partners in this fight. Beyond NAFDAC, we have what we call Interministerial Committee, IMC, where all the ministries, departments, and agencies of government, all the relevant stakeholders do meet, gather together, formulate policies, and work. That actually we have even a full document, a policy document, the strategic document called NDCMP, National Drug Control Master Plan 2021 to 2025. It's actually a 5-year document, work plan that gives responsibilities to each of these MDA's major stakeholders, so that at your level, you don't have to wait for NDLEA to come and say, this is what we expect you to do. You already have an idea. You already have a document before you detailing what is expected of you. So we have that. So we work in partnership, not only with local stakeholders, we also have international partners like our counterparts in the US, in the UK, in South Africa, in Brazil, in India. We have all of these that we work with, because like it's known, as it is known, that this is a global scourge. It's not something that is limited, or it's peculiar to Nigeria.
Have you identified one or two maybe famous celebrities within the country that one can partner with, that the agency can partner with?
Oh, we are doing, I can tell you that indeed, even though this is something that is very rampant within the entertainment industry, where you have most of the celebrities, I'll tell you that indeed we're breaking even with them. We're trying to get our foothold in that industry so that we have we work with them, and we work with a number of them. I can tell you, indeed, even we've had a number of them make produce TV commercials, jingles for us, which are available, which we often play on TV stations and on even radio stations, including those are the grassroots in different, all of these are interpreted or broken into different languages, local languages, so that people at those local levels can understand, get the messages. So we have all of that, working with some of these people. You know, we're deploying the carrot and stick approach with that industry. That is for anybody who is found to be not just going beyond their bounds, their limits, to even start dealing with these illicit substances. We bring them, we bring the law to bear on them, we arrest them, we prosecute them, and we've gotten a number of them arrested, prosecuted, and even some of them convicted. Right. So that is on the one hand. But for those, we can persuade, and it's encouraging. I can tell you, we had quite a number of them coming out to identify with the drug, with the fight against substance abuse. A number of them have produced videos which they have shared on their handles, and a lot of them have also produced kits to also discourage young people from abusing these illicit substances. So all of that, I can tell you, we recognize the importance of that part, of this set of people, because whatever content they produce and share on their handles, those contents, if they are the negative ones, if some of them, let me just say directly, some of them glorify or glamorize substance abuse, and they mislead millions of their followers who see them as role models.
And that's why it's always necessary to use them also sometimes as a platform to counter it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. We work with the Guild of Nollywood Actors.
Yes.
With the leadership, we had meetings with them a number of times. We'd engage with them just so that some of them can also come up with content that will counter some of those misleading messages some of their members are pushing out. And even some of them, the leadership also works with us to make sure that we come to talk to some of their members at locations. And even for those that are already struggling with this substance, we also assist some of them in seeking help and treatment. So all of this we're doing with them.
So, sir, what is your message to anyone listening now that wants to support the government's efforts in terms of fighting, drug abuse and illicit trafficking as a private citizen? So if I want to support the government's efforts, whether in Nigeria, in diaspora, or here within the four walls of Nigeria, what should we do? What should they do?
Now, I'll tell you, thank you for that. I'll tell you that, like we said, we've opened up this fight for citizens themselves to take ownership of it. Now, how do you take ownership of it? In your little corner. Don't think you need to be on a TV platform before you make an impact, before you push your message. In your little corner, you can have 1-2 persons you can talk to about substance abuse. And if any individual or any organization wants to support this, whether you want these messages to be taken to schools, you can organize such, invite the NDLEA command closest to you. They will definitely follow you, go with you as resource persons to join you, to support you in doing that. And even if you cannot afford to do that, if it's just to speak with your neighbor, even your kids, it's your fear of influence. I'm sure every parent has some level of control or influence over their kids. So you can talk to them. From that, the message you have passed to them has the tendency to go beyond your kids, because when they are also talking, your kids are also talking with their friends outside. It's what you have told them about substance abuse that they go out with to share with their friends. Now, let me shock you. Just about last Friday, today is last Friday, we had in the lineup of activities marking this year's World Drug Day, We had essay competition organized by the agency among schools across the country. We had quiz competition also organized by MTN Foundation in partnership with NDLEA and UNODC. The grand finale of the quiz competition, which I personally hosted, was on Friday in Abuja here. I was impressed beyond. I had to tweet about it. About the level of awareness among these secondary school students. I was impressed because the things they were talking, the questions they were thrown at them, and their responses shows that indeed the advocacy we're pushing is actually making impact, because for them to be this aware shows that they are already well equipped to take the right decisions when they come under the pressure of abusing these illicit substances. At that point, when you know the effect of these drugs on you when you take it, then if your friend come to you or your classmate come to you to say, see, this is tramadol, it will give you strong energy and all those kind of things, you know the effects. That's what will come to your mind. No, this thing is capable of damaging my organs, I'm not going to take it. So that shows you that indeed this thing is going places, and we may not be there yet, but I can tell you that with the level of awareness now and where the advocacy we are all driving in partnership with individuals, organizations, non-governmental, governmental organizations, will definitely get there.
Yes. So I'd like to ask you the last question before we go. Do you see Nigeria legalizing marijuana in the near future? We can't go without asking that question.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people would like to know that. Do you think Nigeria will get to a point like the United States where they can legalize marijuana?
Let's not miss the point. The United States has not legalized
in
cannabis.
Some states.
Yes,
some states.
Some states have done that. But then that's a very controversial one, and I don't think with our present situation, with our present challenges in the sense socio-economic challenges, security challenges, I don't think Nigeria will be in a good state to legalize cannabis, because we know that cannabis is the most commonly abused illicit substance in Nigeria today. Based on the 2018 National Drug Survey conducted by our own National Bureau of Statistics and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, that gives us a figure of 14.3 million Nigerians abusing illicit substances.
Wow.
And out of that 14.3, translating to 14.4% prevalence rate, which is almost 3 times the global prevalence average of 5.6.
Wow.
Now, out of that 14.3 million Nigerians abusing illicit substances, and don't forget, Deji, that this 14.3 that I mentioned, that survey captured only those within the age bracket of 15 and 64, meaning that those under 15 were not captured and those above 64 were not captured. That shows you that indeed, because now you see people of 10, 12, 11, 9 abusing it.
Kids.
So that means that even the 14.3 million may just be underreporting, meaning that we could be in the neighborhood of 20 and above, 20 million and above. So when you look at that, that shows you that the point I was trying to make is cannabis alone, out of 14.3 million, those that abuse cannabis alone stands at 10.6 million. Cannabis alone.
Wow.
Out of 14.3, cannabis alone takes 10.6 million. So that shows
That's huge.
Huge. Just imagine that.
Yes.
Now, we also know that this particular substance leads to, for those that abuse it, they develop psychosis, they develop schizophrenia, among other many health challenges.
Yes.
Now, the strongest argument I've had from those promoting this has been that countries outside there, they are making, there's a billion-dollar market for it out there, and that they are arguing that, okay, we can make money out of it in the face of their resources. And the question we ask is, okay, now what if you make $10 million annually and you had to spend $100 billion to build rehabilitation centers for the many mad people you will see on the streets? Now, this is illegal. This is not allowed at the moment. Yet you have 10.6 million abusing it. So if we
legalize it,
then you just have junkies everywhere. Junk is everywhere. So we're not in a situation to. So we have to decide, do we want to choose law and order? Don't forget the security challenges we have across the country, whether insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, kidnapping for ransom in north central, or the unknown government in the southeast, south.
It's a lot.
So all over we have these security challenges. And it's already established there is a strong nexus between these security challenges and substance abuse. This abuse of illicit, because we've had many of those that have gone to their camps, and these people are perpetually on drugs. So because nobody in his or her right senses would do the kind of things they do, these people can only do what they do, that is, they commit these criminalities after taking these mind-altering substances. So what we say is, are we interested in the few millions of dollars that comes in, or the law and order in our country, and the public health, the health of our people? If we indeed we value law and order, if we value the safety of our people, and if we value the health of our people, public health, then we don't have anything to do with legalizing cannabis at the moment, or even in the nearest future, because again, another thing we have to understand is, for those that are already that have already legalized these things, the kind of structures they have in place,
infrastructure,
health infrastructure they have in place, don't forget, we don't have them. The socio-economic issues we have here, they don't have there. A lot of our people here tend to go into this thing because they are poor, they have no job to do, so the only way they can find some temporary escape from their sorrow, from their agony, is to take these things. Don't forget, out there, these people even have social welfare programs, so that is not their issue. They are doing it for recreational, you understand? So there are two different situations. We cannot blindly say because ABC is doing it, so we have to do it. And there is not also proof to show that indeed for those that had legalized it, that things are getting better for them. No. Instead, their own security challenges are increasing. So meaning that I think quite a lot of us will come to understand. So
it's a global problem. Drugs is not good for us.
No, absolutely.
Yes, the abuse of drugs.
Absolutely, nothing that you want to, because we relate with parents who have children that are struggling with substance abuse. You need to understand the pains they're going through. You know, it's not something they can come out to share because of stigma. But we relate with them. You can touch, if they talk with you, you can touch their pain. Not feel, you can touch it. So people are going through hell. You know, many families are ruined, many marriages have been broken, many have lost their jobs, and things have turned, lives have been miserable for people as a result of this. Is that what we want to encourage? We just have to say no to this.
I think the message for today is say no to drugs.
Absolutely.
Many thanks to you, Mr. Femi Babafemi, for in fact, the way you answered most of our questions, and you have educated our audience, because majority of our audience are young people, and it's very important we bring this message to the comfort of their homes, wherever you guys are listening to us from, whether within Nigeria or outside the country. Yes, you wanted us to discuss this issue, and we had the perfect person to explain all these issues to you. And in case you weren't following us initially, we're speaking to Mr. Femi Babafemi. He is the current director of the Media and Advocacy Department at the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NAFDAC, at the headquarters here in Abuja. NDLEA, yes, here in Abuja. And NDLEA has the mandate to curtail illicit production, importation, exploitation, sale, and trafficking of psychoactive substance. And so I'm sure you really enjoyed this podcast as much as we did, and I'm sure really educated you and informed you of the importance of staying away from drug and to end stigmatization and the abuse of illicit substances. On that note, we say have a wonderful day and see you next time. Bye for now.